John Frost looked on the gathered crowd, now 3,000 strong. With heavy heart, his voice rang loud as he sang this loveless song. God is a guide from field, from wave, from plough, from anvil, and from loom. We come our country's rights to save and speak a tyrant faction's doom. We raise the watchword liberty. We will be free. For when the rising tide is turned in every London quarter, Parliament comes crashing down with Robert's Rules of Order. Bobbies took an oath to be our nation's warders, swearing that they would enforce Sir Robert's Rules of Order. To Newport rose a million friends who rallied each supporter to join this flood of working men against Robert's Rules of Order. For when the rising tide is turned in every London quarter, Parliament comes crashing down with Robert's Rules of Order. Like this, on the steps of Parliament, John Frost stood proud and tall. A hush fell on this great event as he told them one and all: depose the gentry and the crown, depose the House of Lords, or join the Queen in exile by Robert's Rules of Order. So Chartists, Luddites, Communists, recall each faithful martyr who died so you could have your new world Robert's Rules of Order. Say it loud, vote your favor, shout it high. All in favor, you say aye. Favor, aye. Favor, aye. A mandate of the people's cry. Favor, aye. Favor. Let's hear the opposition side. Like a stubborn donkey's bray. All opposed, you say nay. Opposed, opposed. The motion carries anyway. Currents change and bring to us our tear-corrupted warder. In chains subdued and ill-abused, he's left with no supporters. Mobility's will can then proceed by our own rules of order. And we'll all cheer for country's sake when Robert's drawn and quartered. Well, when the rising tide is turned in every London quarter, Parliament shall be reborn with Robert's Rules of Order!
Is he unmuted? Oh, he's unmuted.
Yeah,
okay.
unmuted.
All right. So you can do the intro, Mike.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the 4th of July special edition here of the Cult of RONR. Happy Independence Day, Treason Day, Insurrection Day, or whatever extremist anti-state message you wish to have. We have a kind of an interesting one here. Joining us is Mr. Richard Brown, who is the I guess you could describe him as the National Party parliamentarian. He's done several of our national conventions and some other stuff for us. Tremendous resource on this sort of thing.
And Ken's been retaining him for our meetings.
Yes, so he is very familiar with some of the goings on with the party and then some. A little background as to why Richard's here. There's been some dispute as to whether Mr. Melman is currently the actual LNC chair or whether he's an acting chair, depending upon how things are worded out. Mr. Brown, along with Mr. Balch and a few other people, have had the opinion that...
and me!
And the disembodied voice off screen here with the pink hair said that he became chair upon the resignation of Mr. Henchman. I disagree, because I think that the wording of the bylaws specifically say otherwise. So rather than have a proactive email argument and not getting anywhere, Richard asked to have a discussion with me about it, and rather than do it on the phone, we decided, let's see if we can do it this way. So here we are.
Yeah, so everyone can benefit.
So everyone can benefit from our back and forth. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear. I have mad respect for this man. Okay, he knows his stuff. There's no doubt about that, and I don't want anybody to assume that I'm saying otherwise, because I'm not. So, and Mr. Brown is a tremendous parliamentarian. He's got tremendous creds. We have quite a few of those around us, and I, for one, am grateful to have him around. So, and I know Karen Ann is too.
Yep.
So,
and he's right on this thing.
We shall see. We shall see.
Absolutely, of course. You have a smart co-host there, Mike.
There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. So here's the first. Do we have anybody here besides us at the moment?
Well, they're watching. There's just no comments. People feel free to comment.
Yeah, let us know you're here.
But I do see you on my little spy that lets me know at least how many people are watching. So yeah, there's a few diehards. I'm sure JJ's out there.
Yeah, if you're here, say something so we know you're here. So, okay. The way this all started, a little background for those who have been under a rock for the past couple of weeks, was that in the light of all the issues of Lettergate, New Hampshire Gate, whatever you want to call it,
Decorum Gate.
Decorum Gate, whatever, insert gate here, whatever, swinging gate. Okay, so Terentia Flavia says hello. Hi. Because of what all happened, Joe Bishop Henchman, the previous LNC chair, resigned. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole details of that train wreck because that's
plus,
not,
I'm sure Richard wants to stay neutral.
and that's not relevant to where we're going with this. That's a side tangent. I'm not going to go there. Maybe later, but not for this.
We won't drag Richard into that.
Right. But folks, if I'm looking down, it's because the screen's here and the camera's up here. I got to get used to doing that.
Yeah, and comments are over there.
Right. So it's camera presence, and I'm still getting used to that. In any case, so Mr. Melman, the vice chair, in his position, had to take over to run everything, which is expected. The question became: is Mr. Melman the acting chair, or does he automatically become the chair upon Mr. Henchman's resignation? Mr. Melman consulted with several parliamentarians, including Mr. Brown and Mr. Balch, and the conclusion that they reached was that there was an automatic ascension to the chair by Mr. Melman. I disagree because I claim the bylaws say differently and that the Roberts Rules cited don't say what people are thinking they're saying, which has led us to this discussion where we are here. So that's the long form. I'm going to let Mr. Brown give that argument first.
I'll give that a shot. Thank you, Mr. Seebeck. But that really is the issue. And a lot of people say there's a conflict between what the bylaws say and what Robert's Rules says.
Quick, pardon the interruption real fast. Did I summarize it well?
I think you did, yes.
Okay, thank
yes.
you. Go ahead. Thank you. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything for people,
Yeah, the issue is whether the vice chair, Ken Melman, automatically became chair upon the resignation of Joe Bishop Henchman. Mm-hmm. And according to the LP bylaws, when there's a vacancy among any of the four officers, chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and your bylaws define, I think in Article 6, Section 1, who the officers are.
Right.
And then further down, I think in Article 6, Section 7 or 8, it says that if there's a vacancy among the officers, that the LNC shall fill the vacancies.
Right.
Well, that sounds fine. However, Robert's Rules, which the LP has adopted as its parliamentary authority, and when you adopt a parliamentary authority, you adopt, not just the rules Senate, the interpretation Senate, you agree to be bound by its interpretations. It's like adopting an 800-page contract. Robert's Rules has a provision in more than one place, several provisions, that say in the event of a vacancy in the office of the president, and the chair is equivalent. There's no doubt that right. Whether you call it president, chair, grandmaster, whatever, he's the head honcho.
Grand Poobah.
The
Grand Poobah, exactly. That in the event of a vacancy in the office of the Grand Poobah, that the Vice Grand Poobah, Vice Poobah, automatically becomes Poobah instantaneously. And Robert's Rules, which is the official citation, is RONR, stands for Rules of Order Newly Revised. Don't ask me why they decided years ago that's the proper citation for it, but you hear parliamentarians refer to RONR, and that's referring to the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order.
They probably got sick of putting the two R's together. on the front.
I know you would think they would, but they don't, and never have. In fact, when it was Robert's Rules of Order Revised, the abbreviation was ROR for Rules of Order Revised. But anyway,
Acronyms.
Robert's Rules is very clear in two specific places that the vice president automatically becomes president unless there is a specific provision in the bylaws that refers specifically, explicitly, particularly, it uses the word particularly, to the office of president. That if you have a general provision, as the LP bylaws do, which says in the event of a vacancy among the officers, the LNC shall fill the vacancies.
You're brushing.
According, that's all right. We enjoyed seeing you, Karen Ann.
No, it was just your sleeve.
or was that mic going? Or was that
That was Karen Ann adjusting something by the camera.
Never mind. Okay.
Because I can't sit still.
Thought maybe that was somebody going to close the door.
No.
Now I'm rearranging the studio while you guys are talking because I can't sit still.
Okay.
No, Wayne closed the door a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. RONR is very clear in two separate sections that the body can prescribe how other vacancies are filled just with a provision in the bylaws. That's no problem. But if you want a different provision in the office of president, if you don't want the vice president or vice chair or vice poobah to become president automatically, you have to say so clearly and explicitly and make particular reference to the office of president. It is not sufficient to just say, if there's a vacancy among the officers, the LNC can fill the vacancies. That doesn't cut it. Robert's Rules is very clear. You have to have language that applies specifically to the president. The LP bylaws don't say that. There's no conflict between the Libertarian Party bylaws and Robert's Rules. Robert's Rules is very clear. You can have whatever method of filling vacancies you want. You can do it by lottery. You can do it by roll of the dice. You can refer to some other group to select your president. You can do anything you want to, but you've got to refer to it in a certain way in order for it to be valid. And the LP bylaws don't refer to it in that special way. And that's Jonathan Jacobs, JJ, who I hope is listening. In fact, I was hoping he would be able to participate, and maybe next time you can have him on. He wrote an article in one of the parliamentary journals about the rule shift function of not just Robert's Rules, but of almost all the parliamentary authorities, where they have provisions such as this. And they tell organizations that you can do something differently from what we say, but you have to go about it in a certain way.
He sent
And that's
that
the same
over to
thing
us. We
here.
haven't read it yet.
Yeah, we were gonna probably go over that in an episode.
Yeah.
That article.
We haven't read it yet though, but he did send it to us.
So the bottom line is there's not really a direct conflict between Robert's Rules and the LP bylaws. The LP bylaws just don't use the language that must be used to make that provision effective. And that is the opinion not just of myself. I'm a registered parliamentarian. I'm not a PRP. I'm a registered parliamentarian, RP, and of Jonathan Jacobs, JJ, who is a PRP, who's highly well respected, has written many articles in parliamentary journals, and also people like Bert Balch, who is one of the co-authors of Robert's Rules, and several other PRPs. I know of several. I'm going to refer to registered parliamentarians and professional registered parliamentarians all as credentialed parliamentarians. There's another national organization, the American Institute of Parliamentarians. They use a slightly different terminology, but in order to attain that level, you have to go through a credentialing process. You got to prove you know what you're doing. Among all of the credentialed parliamentarians who have looked at this, either specifically in the case of the LP bylaws or generally in the case of other bylaws that are written similarly, they all say the same thing, that you must refer specifically to a vacancy in the office of presidency in order to override the provision in Roberts. And I've lost count of how many, but there are several credential parliamentarians who have looked specifically at the LP bylaws, myself, JJ, Burt Balch, Joshua Katz, who's a registered parliamentarian, former member of the LNC, Scott Lieberman, the doctor who's in California, who's a member of the party, and I think on the California State Central Committee. He's a
Richard,
registered parliamentarian.
do you know if Alicia looked at it?
I think that's Alicia's opinion as well. I know that it's Aaron Starr's position. I've actually discussed it with Aaron. I believe that's Alicia's position as well. I've even talked to Frank Robinson. I understood Frank Robinson, one of the party's founders, actually wrote the bylaws. So I called him, and that's his understanding.
That is correct because, pardon the interruption, but that is correct because the wording that we're talking about in the bylaws do go back to the 1974 version. So
yeah. Now, so that's probably 6 or 8 or 10 credential parliamentarians, either within the party or who have looked at the party bylaws, who all agree. There are another 6 or 8 or 10 on the Roberts Rules of Order Forum, the discussion forum, who have looked at this exact issue with organizations that have almost identical wording. They all say the same thing, including Dan Hahnemann, who's on the authorship team. I believe Shmuel Gerber, who is on the authorship team. Others who are the most respected parliamentarians in the discussion group, like Josh Martin. All of us, everybody who has looked at it takes the same position. I'm not aware of a single credential parliamentarian anywhere who disagrees, and that's probably about 20 of us. And in fact, I think, Mike, you are the only person I know of with a significant amount of parliamentary knowledge who disagrees.
Wouldn't be the first time I've gone against the grain.
But listen, I've
ask Karen.
The lone wolf can sometimes be right. That's why I wanted to discuss it with you. Was hoping we could have a phone call. I'm open to looking at it other ways, but in a nutshell, the problem is that the LP bylaws don't use the language that Roberts says you have to use to get out from under the default provision. And that language was in effect in the edition that was in effect when the LP bylaws were drafted. It's not a brand new position. I think that was the 7th edition, published in 1970. That's the edition that was in effect when Frank Robinson drafted the bylaws. And he told me he was aware of that provision and figured that, there was no need to go into detail because he knew Robert's rules covered it.
Okay. The bylaws do specifically say that, yes, that the chair is an officer. That's Article 6, Section 1. We agree on that. Article 6, Section 8, and Article 7, Section 7 both say, it's in two places because one's for the officers, one's for the LNC, that, and matter of fact, the wording is almost identical, but not quite. They both say that the National Committee shall appoint new officers if vacancies occur. The LNC one also says and at-large members. That's the only difference. With such officers to complete the term of the office vacated. Except for that at-large piece, for the other piece, it's identical. No arguments there. Article 6, Section 4 specifically says that on the vice chair. The vice chair shall be the chief assistant. I'm reading off a paper here, folks. This is why I'm kind of looking down. Shall be chief assistant to the chair, performing such duties as the chair shall prescribe, and holding such executive powers as the chair shall delegate. Here's the key point. And shall perform the duties of the chair in the event that the chair is, for any reason, unable to perform the duties of the office. The key point there is that he's performing the duties. He is not assuming the title. There's a separation of the duties from the title there. You could call it a portfolio without minister if you'd like. And that's the only place in the bylaws where this shows up for this specific case. Other positions, secretary, treasurer, etc., if they step down, the duties are on the shelf until a replacement is made. That's normal. That's accepted practice. I don't think anybody really has any argument with that. But in this specific case, the vice chair takes the duties, but not the title. And that's on there for any reason. That could be anything from they have to hand off the gavel because of a conflict of interest for an election. They need to go walk the dog because without taking a recess. There's lots of different reasons for it to happen. That's the design, the structure behind this. But the point of it is that if it was meant that if the bylaw is intended to say, and the words that are in there are there for a reason, that's part of Robert's construction on bylaws, is in that chapter. If the wording was specific that the chair or vice chair automatically becomes chair upon the chair being vacant, then it would be in there. It's never been in there in the entire time the party's been here. The lack of those words have a purpose, and that the idea was the vice chair fills in until they get a new chair. And that's always been the case back to 74. Going on to Roberts, though, okay, there's a couple of citations that weren't mentioned in the opinion that was given to Mr. Melman. 4711, subsection 1, page 429, if you're following along in your copy at home, specifically refers to the position of chair, but not the title being taken by the vice chair. Quote, if the president for any reason vacates the chair or is absent, the vice chair takes the chair. Again, it doesn't say he becomes the chair. He just takes the duties on. 4713, two sections later on 431, talks about an invited temporary presiding officer. Okay, they have the gavel. They have some of the duties of the position of chair. Are they the chair? No, they're not. Okay, because let's face it, they're not the elected officer. They're just filling in for something. Okay, 4723 says that the president vacates when for any reason the president vacates the chair, and it cites 43, 29, 47, 11, and 62, 12 to 14. The vice president serves in his stead, not in his place. Serving in his stead, courtesy of vocabulary.com, means doing their job for them while they're not there as a substitute. That's not assuming the title. They're just filling in. They're the substitute teacher. They're the fill-in umpire. They don't assume the title. They're just doing the job. 4728, the one that you guys have cited regarding automatic ascension, says it has to expressly provide for the filling of the vacancy. Okay. Expressly means explicit and clear. The bylaws do expressively and clearly say that. Okay, but it's just in pieces. One piece is in Article 6, Section 1 about who's an officer, and then the other piece about about appointing for those vacancies in those positions is Articles 6, Section 8, and Article 7, Section 7. There's no requirement that it has to all be in one place, but it is there. So that's part of the problem there. The other thing is in that same section, the italicized office of the president, which is emphasis throughout Roberts. Roberts doesn't underline anything in the book, which is another way of using emphasis. So they're using emphasis here as a term of art, but that doesn't make it a requirement. And the problem there is that, again, it's already addressed by our bylaws. So the last piece of it, 5632, which is what you guys quoted, okay? It basically says that the bylaws are assigned as the method of filling the vacancy in the specific case of the presidency. The vice president automatically becomes president for the remainder of the term. Well, the bylaws do cover that because the methodology is appointment by the LNC. I think nobody disputes that. If the LNC appoints a replacement, it's for a vacancy. It's listed twice. Specific case does not mean, though, and this is where I think the misinterpretation is happening. Specific does not mean exclusive. It doesn't mean only the case of the chair. Specific just means clearly identified, and it is. But it's not exclusive. And that, I think, is the key misinterpretation of this whole thing, is that idea of saying it's specific it only has to be for that case, but it's included as part of the other cases. It is specific, but it's more than that, and it's not just isolated to that. The other piece about it is that, yes, the method has to be prescribed, how to do it in particular. But the other method means, other than the bylaws, well, it's in the bylaws. So it would fall to a special order or standing rule, which I'll defer to Karen Ann on that one. I don't know if we have one for that or not. She's shaking her head no over here. So okay. But again, it's not. Again, this lazy idea of specific not being exclusive. It's not. They're different terms, and I think that's where the misinterpretation is coming. Is that if the bylaws were to say only in the case of the chair, the vice chair becomes that, instead of being having a vacancy appointed, that would cover the case. But it doesn't do that because it includes it in the broader picture of all the officers. I don't think specific means exclusive here, and the terminology doesn't match up. I think that's where the problems are happening.
Let me respond to two or three things. And that was very good. Although you conveniently left out a key part of the citation in Roberts.
Which
one? And I'll come back to that 5623.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, 5632.
Okay.
I'll come back to that in a minute.
One second.
Let
me find it. 5623.
Well, I'm going to 5632.
32. Okay. Hang on. Let me get there so I can follow along.
But I'm not going to talk about that just yet. I'll come back to that. Well, okay. We can start with it. Go. Okay.
You're driving. Go. I just got the book here.
Okay. Let's see. All right. I'm going to read the entire paragraph. It's one paragraph. The method of filling vacancies may be provided for. That's in the bylaws. This is talking about provisions that should be in the bylaws. Mm-hmm. Unless the bylaws clearly provide otherwise, notice of filling a vacancy in office must always be given to the members of the body that will elect the person to fill it. If the bylaws are silent as to the method of filling a vacancy in the specific case of presidency, the vice president or first vice president automatically becomes president for the remainder of the term, and the vacancy to be filled arises in the vice presidency or in the lowest ranking vice president. Then here's the key. Here's what you left out. If another method of filling a vacancy in the presidency is desired, it must be prescribed and specified as applying to the office of president in particular. That's the problem. The LP bylaws don't refer to filling a vacancy in the office of the president in particular. They just refer to filling vacancies in any of the among the four officers in the officers. And that's the key. And some of these provisions in Robert's Rules of Order are actually italicized for emphasis, to put emphasis on the importance that the bylaws have to refer specifically to a vacancy in the office of the president. Now, I want to respond just kind of briefly to the other comments you made about the other provisions in Robert's Rules about the vice president filling in the absence of the president, etc. All of those provisions are to deal with the temporary absence of the president, all of them. When the president has to go to the bathroom, or he's absent from the meeting, or perhaps he wants to participate in debate, so he has turned the gavel over to the vice president, or he may be on vacation. That's what or he may be sick or disabled in the hospital. That's what all of those provisions apply to. They have nothing to do with filling a vacancy in the office of president. They just have to do with either the president being absent or unable to perform his duties, such as being illness, or when the president has turned the chair over to the vice president. So, but the bottom line is that again, in my view, there's not really a conflict between the LP bylaws and Roberts. Roberts says very plainly the LP can provide for whatever method of filling a vacancy in the office of president it wants to, but it's got to use certain language to do so, and it doesn't use that language. That's the problem, and that's why every credentialed parliamentarian, and I'm guessing that's 15 of us, at least maybe 20, all uniformly have taken the same position, that in this case, with your language and your bylaws, or similar language and other bylaws, if you go to the Robert's Rules discussion forum and do a search, which I've done, have found 10 or 15 threads right on point, some of the language just almost identical to the LP language. Every parliamentarian who has responded has said, in that case, it's not specific as to the president, so the vice president automatically becomes president. So that's the issue, and of course, and that was Ken Melman's position. And he had written opinions from two or three others. He had verbal opinions from two or three others. He has a verbal opinion from another prudential parliamentarian whose name I'm not aware of. He has not told me who that was, but that he did get still another one by phone. So that's probably about 20 of us who all take the same position. And his position, he does not want to be chair. He asked the LNC to overrule his ruling, which they did at his request.
Yeah,
And
no, it's been the LNC, and you guys know my feelings on this. You don't overrule correct opinions because you don't like the outcome. I think that's completely unethical. Even if Ken didn't want the chair, which he doesn't, he needed to assume it and resign and ask the LNC to reappoint him as vice chair. That's the only, to me, ethical way of doing it. But the LNC overruled his opinion, even though most of them admitted his opinion was right. And I think that's completely unethical.
But was there an actual appeal from the ruling of the chair? I didn't see that in the list.
Yeah.
It was on a meeting.
Oh, okay.
And
yes.
Out of respect for Ken, I abstained on that vote because no way was I going to overrule it. But in hindsight, I wish I voted yes. But it was out of friendship that I abstained. Joshua Smith was actually the only one with the backbone to say, nope, it was the correct ruling. Too bad you don't want to be chair. You are. But
Karen,
I would never have overruled it.
When you said you wish you had voted yes, that means to sustain the ruling of the chair. Yeah.
Yes. I abstained from the vote, again, out of respect for Ken's wishes. I went a little soft there. But I never would have voted to overrule. I think it's absolutely absurd to overrule a correct ruling, as most of the LNC did. But then again, my opinion of the rest of the LNC right now is pretty well known. And I won't drag you into that, Richard. But yeah,
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
anyway, so.
I agree with Richard on this. Though, I don't have any credentials to the point, but I would add
I don't either, but it never stopped me.
Yeah. But I would add also the other provisions you pointed in the bylaws really are parallel to the Roberts provisions about a temporary absence of the chair, not when the chair position is
But that's
unfilled.
Not what it says.
It is actually what it says. It's in context, it's not dealing with a permanent...
For any reason. Doesn't say temporary, doesn't say permanent. It says any. Covers up both cases. That's the bylaws.
They're referring to temporary absences, basically. But by the way, people need to know this is an easy problem to fix. This can easily be fixed with a 2-word bylaw amendment at the next convention, and let the delegates decide. I know a lot of party officials think the LNC should be able to choose the chair. I'm not so sure the delegates would agree. I don't have a dog in that fight.
I actually think the delegates will agree because to me, it's absolutely absurd to have the LNC choose the chair. And the fact that we're now reaching beyond people that didn't even run, that this LNC, which is whatever anyone's opinion is obviously very divided and very partisan at this point, is going to be choosing a chair. And I'll put my cards on the table for this because to me, this is just a logical opinion. If the LNC is going to choose a chair, they should then pick the second choice of the delegates, which of course they probably don't want to do, which would be Joshua Smith. Otherwise, it should be Ken Molman because he was actually voted on by the delegates. My opinion is Ken should take the chair and the vice chair should remain vacant because this LNC is too partisan and too divided to responsibly pick another officer.
If the ruling of the chair, as Mr. Brown cites, you guys didn't agree with, then that is the correct approach to take.
Right.
Okay.
But
that's not what's happening.
They overruled it.
Right.
Right. But no, here though, in our bylaws where it says shall perform the duties of the chair in the event that the chair is for any reason unable to perform. Being unable presumes that the chair exists, that there is a person who is in the chair who is unable. So I don't think you're for any reason means there is no chair, because if there has to be a chair to be unable.
If the reason is they've resigned, they are therefore unable to do the duties by their own choice.
No, then they don't exist. There's not an inability.
Correct.
So, no, I just fundamentally disagree with your interpretation there. I think it's not correct. But that won't be the first time we disagreed. But I don't think there's a conflict here either. And I'd be the first to admit if our bylaws were sloppy, because they are sloppy in some areas.
Well, yeah, that wording's back from 1974. That wording is literally 50 years old.
Yeah, I don't think this is, though, particularly sloppy. There are some things I do think are.
Listen, guys, I enjoyed this. If you don't need me, I really need to run. If you need me to stick around,
that's perfect, Richard. We really, I think this was probably very helpful for people who weren't understanding the intricacies in and out.
This goes back to a fundamental problem, and this is how do you structure your bylaws? You know, and I'm not criticizing Roberts. I think there's a contradiction in Roberts here because of the way they word it. I think that they're trying to say expressly means when they need to say that it needs to be said in this specific case of the chair versus other officers.
It does in the next sentence when it says in particular.
That's not what in particular means, though. Not when you're talking as a part of a larger group. Remember, I have a math degree. I specialize in set theory. Okay? But the point of it is that the wording of Roberts needs help on that also, because he didn't make it more clear as to what they're talking about here when they're using terms like expressly and in particular and so on. Definitions change over time. I had to look them up, and my definitions came out straight out of the Oxford Dictionary. Okay? I cite my sources.
I don't find it unclear.
When they say for any reason, any means any. Period. But any reason means they've stepped down, they died, they've quit, they got fired, you know. A meteorite fell on their heads, they got to take a leak, you know.
I agree with Karen in there, because if the chair steps down, then there's the chair can't be absent. I mean,
it can't be unable. I agree with Karen.
They are unable by their own choice.
But again, this is an easy problem to fix
in our bylaws,
in the bylaws, yes, at the convention, and two words either way will solve it. Add the words either including chair or excluding chair, and no matter which provision gets proposed, there's probably going to be a proposed amendment to change it. The delegates will ultimately decide whether they want the succession to be automatic, or do they want the LNC to fill it? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Richard, though, there's something I got to put a bug in your ear about. I'm going to be speaking from memory of something I just looked at an hour ago, but one of the bylaws committee members is proposing ditching Roberts for some unspecified set of rules that the LNC gets to create. Talk about raping member rights.
We saw that both, and we're both like, what?
Not even substituting it for
changing the subject, but yes.
Not even substituting it for a different parliamentary authority, but for some unspecified set of rules created by the LNC. Talk about the fox guarding the hen house.
And wanting chicken dinner.
So
that I started to say that would be fun. No, it won't be fun.
No,
that'll be a disaster. But I don't know how the delegates would go for that, but it's up to the delegates.
I will argue on the floor against that with Rena with a passion and fire that Karen Ann's never seen before.
Well, I think
I'll have the flaming pitchfork in hand.
I think some delegates will be really in favor of it until, and I'll make sure I have a substitute secretary if they haven't thrown me off then for that portion, because all I need to bring up is you guys who believe in due process. If the LNC was creating the rules, my ass would have been fried without due process. It was Roberts that saved my ass. So, and it will save y'all's ass too with an out of control LNC. You don't have the LNC creating their own rules. And I don't mind telling you what bylaws, you don't need to have an opinion, Richard, but it was fucking Dan Fishman that proposed this of all people. Shame on him. I regret my vote. I regret my vote. He wants to make a 4-year term for chair too. Oh my fucking God.
If you're gonna do a 4-year term for chair, you gotta stagger terms.
Yeah. All right, Richard.
But hold on, one last thing. Right. There is a simple solution, and it's a little more wordy than 4 words. Just do a 25th Amendment style proposal to say if the chair is gone by death, resignation, or removal, the vice chair becomes chair. Period. Simple, clear, end of problem.
Well, that's what I'm going to
support.
I
vote for that, by the way.
I support the vice chair automatically ascending because it's somebody the delegates voted for. Having the listen, I've seen how the sausage is made, and that sausage is nasty, and I do not want the LNC selecting a new chair. We're going to see what a disaster this is going to be. Yeah. Hopefully not.
All right. How do I get out of here? Do I?
Well, we can boot you out because we don't want you to get you into.
Richard, thanks for joining us. It's been a good discussion. I think we disagree, but that's cool too. Okay, all mad respect to you.
All right, awesome. You have a good day.
But parliamentarians do disagree, although we all agree on this point. Well, all but one of us.
Well, remember, argument to consensus is a false argument, too.
Yeah.
All right, Richard. And I don't want to drag you into the internal stuff, so you have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, now
we can rearrange ourselves a little bit.
Okay, well, that was fun. And I think members will have gotten a good deal out of that to hear.
The bottom line about all that is it's how you look at the wording and how the things are constructed and what do the words actually mean. And every single word matters. And that's where I was having issues with the whole thing, is because every single word does.
You need to get more. There you go. Get closer. Ooh la la. Okay.
But every single word matters. And even Roberts says back in the section on bylaws construction, what's in there is assumed to be in there on purpose. And by the way, that is a normal construction of law, even beyond Robert's rules and bylaws. That's a normal
I'm trying not to cough on you because I still have a cold a little bit. It's almost gone. I might have to run upstairs at some point and get my cough drops.
You don't got the Rona.
No, I don't got the Rona. At PorkFest, though, there was a Typhoid Mary who had the Rona.
Oh, fun.
But people left either with a bad cold, which that's what I got, or the Rona. I didn't get the Rona.
Before we get into all that, let's talk about PorkFest a minute.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about it. What do you want to know?
Okay. First of all, I saw the SAR warped version of your speech.
You saw the good one.
I saw the good one, and I got to say this: out fucking standing.
Oh, thank you.
No language apologies.
It was. I was mad.
It was mad, but you know what else it was for you? You had a catharsis up there.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
You did, and frankly, you deserved it.
It was, that whole thing was. Listen, it was incredible. Like, I'm gonna enjoy going to PorkFest like as a nobody, like in a way, because like when I tell you, like
You're not. No, you have been elevated to legend status in the party. You are the Harlos now.
But I mean,
the title only goes for certain people. You've made it.
It was. Listen, it's nice to be appreciated, and so there's no downside there. But like, oh my God, like I was given a messiah's welcome at PorkFest. I just can't even describe what
you saved their party.
And they there understood that, and it made me so realize how clueless the LNC is. What an echo chamber they're in, because everyone there was it was phenomenal. It was just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, one more thing about this, I have a little presentation for you.
Oh no, it's not a barbed dildo, is it?
No, it is not a barbed dildo. That I promise.
Okay, because I got a few of those.
No, it is not one of those. However, I'm going to say this directly to you as a friend. You've been through hell the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been bad.
And it sucked to see you go through that. I know what it's like to go through that. Not to the level you were at, but I also know how crazy that can get.
Yeah, it's tough to be backstabbed by friends.
It is. But I will tell you, but I have something for you so that you will always put it in proper perspective. Okay. I give you the official whistle for the whistleblower.
Oh my God, that is so dumb. Okay. Don't make me use this.
Yeah, listen, I'll read that.
Oh my God, this is so awesome.
It says LP whistleblower on
it. Oh my God. I'm going to wear this to the next meeting just to annoy all the right people. You are such a sweetheart.
You were in that one. And by the way, I'd be careful about blowing that thing. It's 120 decibels.
Oh my God, it's like a rape whistle.
It's pretty damn loud.
This is awesome.
So yeah, wear that to the next LNC meeting.
Oh God, that is awesome. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Because I expect the attempts aren't over.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to lay low because
I didn't know if that was going to arrive before this
this
taping.
is so awesome.
But it did, so I was able to put it together.
No, I don't want to. I know.
No, you don't want to blow the speakers.
Oh my God.
Out.
Oh, yeah. No, it was rough. It was rough, and JJ saved my ass. But oh my God, I've just never, like, people don't.
You're in HD on Mazvid 70-inch TV.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pink.
Yeah, a lot of pink.
A lot of tie-dye too.
But yeah, it wouldn't have been so bad. Like, certain people who voted for that motion, like, listen, I'm beyond naming names now. Like Laura Epke or Valerie Sarwick, whatever. I already knew they didn't like me. But the Friends, I don't know if I'll ever get over that. I do not know if I will ever get over that. Like, I have problems with, like, a lot of people in the LNC, but I'd never do that to anybody. And it wasn't just removal from the LNC. They tried to kill the historical project. Which was I want everyone to know that, though. When you go to vote next time, if Mr. Longstreth is running, just know that his grudge, he was willing, even though he voted for me just a week before, for the very committees he was trying to remove me from. Yeah. So for him to say this was a long-standing thing, you were either a shitty LNC member a week before when you voted to make me chair of one of those committees, or this was whistleblowing, and we all know what the answer is.
Yeah, and frankly, the idea of trying to erase, cancel, if you'd like, every single thing that you've done
for 6 years.
For 6 years with the historical committee, plus remove you from committees that have nothing to do with what was going on
with no complaints.
With New Hampshire. I'm sorry.
It's so vindictive.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this directly to you. Richard Longstreth, that is bullshit. And you, of all people, should fucking know better.
Yeah, it's just vindictive.
Maybe you need to grow up a little bit and recognize what proper decorum and proper respect for people means.
That's not decorum.
You blew it.
Yeah, that's not decorum. That is just spite. And I'm just can't believe it, really. Just absolutely cannot believe it. And from Susan Hogarth as well.
And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but if they'd have kicked you out, I'd have been running for platform committee chair.
I know. and
just to spite their asses.
You know, but yeah, Richard just voted for me for platform committee chair and then tried to remove me from the platform committee. So that just goes to show you right there. There's something wrong. And neither of those, and so did Susan, by the way, and neither of those options are flattering. Either you were completely irresponsible LNC members in that vote, or you're targeting a whistleblower. And both of those suck.
And if you're using party resources, or even if you're in a business and you do this, business resources, government resources, to enact a personal vendetta against a colleague, that's not only ethically wrong, in some places it's illegal.
It's just unreal.
And it's just plain wrong. And frankly, it's just plain shitty to do that.
I'd never,
we should put Richard's name right up here on
under shitty.
Yeah.
I never ever could do that to somebody.
I don't do that either.
I mean, I just can't even imagine doing that to somebody.
I wanted to bury somebody, I could do it other ways beyond that, but I don't work that way.
I don't believe in the politics of personal destruction. It's just like unreal. And I'm sure my little tattletaler was going to email the LNC. Do you think they'll email before the end of this episode?
Hey, tattletaler, don't forget to include me.
Yeah, and don't
I triple dog dare your sorry, pathetic self to do that.
And be a man. I'm assuming you're a man. You might be a woman. But whatever you are, like, have the proverbial balls to, like, sign your name and own your words instead of being Clark Kent or whatever other bullshit.
Jack Hamer.
I mean, at least I am of the, I have the balls to own my words and say it. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're going to complain about me, get a backbone and erase the yellow streak off your back. But, you know, I don't expect that to happen. All right, on to Roberts.
Yes.
But this is I'm gonna treasure this. This is fucking awesome.
I thought it was perfect because it's like, okay, you're a whistleblower, you need a whistle.
Don't make me use this. You won't like me when I use this.
Actually, believe it or not, I picked up that phrase when you said that on one of the threads. You won't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah,
Incredible Hulk reference. Wait a minute.
I know, unreal. I'm gonna be scarred for a long time over this.
A whistleblower needs a whistle.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Porkfest was incredible. The people were incredible. I'm looking forward to going again when I'm not the center of attention because it was quite disconcerting.
Mhm.
But yeah, all of that was very, very interesting.
I wonder if there's a place. Now, I know where I got that, but I wonder if there's a place we can get those in bulk.
Yeah. Oh, give them out at convention.
Yeah.
He's got my merch. He's got my swag. Here we go.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I'll have to look
All
into that
right.
one. But anyway.
So we're on the 4th. So it's me telling you. You're the odd one, so I'm an even.
This is correct. So July 4th.
Okay. Did you cheat?
I didn't even look at the darn thing. I
You
looked at the
cheated.
date.
You cheated.
I didn't cheat. I was too busy making you a whistle.
Oh my God, you are so sweet, Mike. Alrighty, are you ready? Because I need to beat. You're ahead of me.
Well, that's not my fault.
Yes, it's your fault.
You're the one who's slacking off. You're the one
Okay.
who's slacking off going down New Hampshire rabbit holes instead of studying.
I
Julia
know,
Roberts.
I know, but I am caught up now.
To New Hampshire, I'm kidding. She but
Yeah, I'm
we
caught up.
do this as a side gig attached to everything else, and we
Yeah.
do it when we can.
Oh boy.
By the way, you didn't mention you had passed the most current section.
Yeah, I
of the
did.
exam.
Right. Well, I'm caught up now. They unlocked the next section because they don't let you continue to go while you're waiting for past sections to be graded. So now they've unlocked the next one, which I need to do.
Do we still have a copy of the old, what is it, 1300 second
Yeah, because we were
question?
going to do that
Yeah.
at some point.
We still have that on the back burner.
I actually wish I just took that exam. This one is such a pain in the ass. I just can't even
It
tell
was
you.
a pain in the ass because of the exam or because of the administration of it.
Everything about it. It's too long. It's too tedious.
See, once again, the separating process from the MacGuffins. Yes.
And I told you, and one of my grades, it had 2 evaluators. One of them gave me a near perfect score, and one gave me a barely passing score. That just goes to tell you there's a problem.
And then they give you a reason why on each.
Okay,
Right.
I can't discuss it because it will give away some of the contents of the exam, and we're not allowed to.
But they did. Yes. They did.
Yes,
Okay,
and
that's good enough.
and I'm going to write when I get my final grade.
Yeah.
I'm going to complain about the comments of one of the evaluators because they're completely opposite to what Robert says.
Okay.
But I can't say it because you're sworn to secrecy about the contents of the exam. So
we can't give it away
so yeah.
yet. So
Yeah.
you'll just have to blow the whistle again.
So it's just too subjective. It just, and one of them, again, it was directly, like one of the things I got dinged for was a direct quote from Roberts. And I was like,
What?
yeah. No. I mean, I passed everything, but some of the scores are wildly varied. But anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Let's dig into this.
So the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I did it before you.
But this is July.
Right. July 4th.
Yes.
And maybe-
Happy birthday, Calvin Coolidge. That's better.
A main motion
Yes.
and a motion to postpone indefinitely
Mhm.
are pending.
Okay.
Following some debate, a motion to commit is made, followed by a motion for the previous question.
Okay, wait a second. We had him in motion,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was moved
This
to
is an
postpone
easy
indefinitely.
one, yes.
Well, I'm not trying to get the sequence.
I know, but you're going to
And then it was a motion to
commit.
commit, and then that one.
And then a previous question.
Call the previous question on the motion to commit. Okay, I'm with you.
Which pending motion is voted on first?
Call the question. I would think.
You're correct. And that would have tricked me. I would have said commit because I would have forgotten you have to vote on the previous question.
Yeah.
But you're correct. B, previous question.
You're right. That was easy. I was making it more complicated than I thought.
I would admit, yeah. So
I just want to get the sequence straight.
do we need to actually look up references on this?
Why not? What the hell?
Okay, 126.
Okay.
So it's section 11.
Right, which is well, that's not it.
Should be previous question, right?
And it's postponed indefinitely, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
126, 13 to 21. That's at the bottom of the first page on the standard descriptive characteristics.
But how does that have to do?
I don't know.
Where? Oh, standard.
Standard characteristics, 13 through 21. So it's 1 and 2 going on to the next page. Yeah, standard characteristics
Okay.
1 and 2. Thank you. That's why I'm trying to talk.
Two just basically says that the previous question can be applied to it.
Takes precedence over nothing except the main question. Okay, so that puts it in the sequence we had it.
Mhm.
Okay, so that means that a commit takes over it and call question.
And a previous question can be applied to it.
Right.
Okay. And then the next is 127.
The motion to commit can be made while it is pending. See below.
Right.
So.
But this is just saying what can be done. It doesn't deal with the fact that when you call a previous question, the first thing you vote on is calling the previous question, which is what this answer was.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, because my understanding is that calling the previous questions is just stop, vote this, go on from there. Just put a tag. Just put a tag.
I'm just gonna. Well,
try it again.
We will. And we'll erase and put a new total.
There you go.
At the end,
right
there. Okay, well that was easy.
Makes sense to me, but
anyway. And I didn't look. See how I flipped it like a good dealer? Not drug dealer, card dealer.
A good card dealer knows how to deal from both seconds and from the bottom of the deck.
And maybe a good drug dealer. I don't know.
Let me show you that sometime.
It's not a career. What, to drug deal?
No, how to deal from the bottom of the deck. That's why they use shoes in Vegas, so you don't deal from the bottom of the deck because the bottom of the deck is in the shoe.
Yep.
Anyway, plus it's harder to count cards. Okay.
Alrighty, now I'm waiting to
July the 5th.
I'm probably gonna fuck it up because whatever.
Which of the following motions can be applied or postponed indefinitely? Okay, so we're on the subject. Which of the following motions can be applied to postpone indefinitely without affecting the main question?
Okay. I've drunk too much already.
Lay on the table. You should get this. Lay on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Previous question.
Mm-hmm.
Postpone indefinitely. Or commit.
Wait, start over because I'm confused.
Okay.
I know it's probably
this
B,
is
right?
the same thing
It's
we
B,
just
right?
had. Yes, it is B.
Yeah. Okay, but I knew it was B.
This is the same thing we just had, just restated.
Yeah, but let's just go through it. I know it's B.
Right.
We know it's B.
Right.
Okay.
Which of the following motions can be applied to postpone indefinitely without affecting the main question?
Which is underneath it.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Lay on the table.
Which would
previous question, which we just said is the right answer.
Right.
Which we just literally read it a second ago. Postpone definitely, which doesn't make any sense. And commit, which we already just covered a second ago too.
Right. Okay, and commit though does affect the main question. That's why it's you can apply commit, but
they're saying applying commit to postpone indefinitely, not to the main question.
But it says without affecting the main question. Gotcha. Right.
Yeah, you
can't, got it.
Yeah, you can't commit a postpone indefinitely.
No, you can't.
Right. You can commit the main motion, but that's a different story.
Right. And the postpone indefinitely dies.
Now,
it falls.
I'll bet you when I flip this over to look at the citation, it's going to be the exact same.
Let's see.
There, I see I didn't cheat.
See, you did good, like a drug dealer.
127, 1-3. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
We've already been through that. Okay, got it. All right. So
how often does that happen? We get literally the same question rephrased two times, you know?
There. So it was a give me for me because otherwise I'd have been even farther behind because I've been losing at this shit. And Southern Northeast says was great to meet me.
Okay.
So thank you. That was again quite an experience.
Okay.
I'm getting more drunk. I need to be extremely drunk today, I think. And we're getting ready to go to a debate. I mean, not a debate, a protest. See, that's how drunk I am.
The difference between a debate and a protest is a debate has two sides and it's more civil.
Well, somebody might argue with us, so it might turn into a debate.
That's when you give them. That's when you take a firecracker and stick it in their shoe and light it.
Alrighty.
Because the protest is about narking your neighbors for fireworks.
Yeah, we decided we picked a random, like we don't even live there. We just
it's up in Wheat Ridge.
Yeah, we were just like, this town is threatening its citizens. We're gonna go protest. None of us live there.
Yeah. What's going on, just for context, is the city of Wheat Ridge, which is west of Denver near Lakewood. They're encouraging people to narc on their neighbors for having fireworks.
Yeah, and they were kind of aggressive about it. All the towns have that law, like kind of, but they were publicizing it. Like it's also in place here, but we weren't publicizing
Fountain
it.
doesn't have it. They said shoot off what you want.
Oh, Castle Rock does, but they weren't encouraging people. Mm-hmm. But Tuesday, Castle Rock is trying to get 3 ballot measures to increase taxes.
And the answer to that is no.
So we're going to go testify against it. They wouldn't put RCV as a ballot measure because no, it can't have the voters decide that. But they're going to try to add a surcharge on every hotel room, like $7, but it would also apply to Airbnb. Raise taxes by, I don't remember the percentage, but it's raise local sales taxes. And then
without a vote? Or is it going to go to a vote?
No, it's go to a ballot measure.
Oh, okay.
But they are making me petition to get RCV as a ballot measure. Meanwhile, they're just sitting there in their high thrones signing off on these ballot measures.
Welcome to the double
taxes.
standard of who can refer what to the ballot. How.
Right. So we're going to be asking people who don't live in Castle Rock to just generally protest. Why not? But people who live here to actually go testify.
Now keep in mind the fireworks thing too. LA did a massive confiscation of fireworks the last few days. Then they got smart. They put all of them in one place in the middle of town and
set them on fire?
Blew them all up at once. 32,000 pounds of fireworks went kaboom.
And how many fingers were lost?
Let's put it to you this way. People thought they were being attacked. 32,000 pounds of fireworks makes a whole lot of noise.
I don't have any fireworks for tonight.
I don't do either.
I want some, though. I want to break the law.
I have not been in the fireworks crowd for the longest time. When I was much younger, back in the junior high days, I had a black cat go off in my hand.
Oof.
And I'm damn lucky I didn't lose my fingers.
I love fireworks. They
were charred with powder, and I had no feeling in these 3 fingers for about a day. I was lucky.
Yeah.
After that, I said, never mind.
We used to entertain our birds with them. They love.
You want to shoot them off? Be my guest. Just be safe about it.
I at least want sparklers. Come on, that's like so tame. All right, but let's.
You can't roast a hot dog on a sparkler.
And I wouldn't try.
Should you?
All right, so the 6th.
Uh-huh.
A motion to reconsider is made at a session with a group that has regular monthly sessions.
Okay.
It is not called up. Any suspension of action related to the motion to reconsider terminates. A, at the end of the current meeting, regardless of the number of meetings in a session. B, at the end of the current session. C, at the end of the next regular session. D, at the end of a quarterly interval.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
I know, and I wouldn't get this.
Let's do this again from the top. We have a motion to what?
A motion to reconsider is made.
Reconsider something that's... Okay, so that would be something that was previously adopted.
Right. Yeah. At a session.
Okay.
With a group that has regular monthly sessions. So they'll be meeting again within the month.
Okay.
The motion to reconsider is not called up. It's made, but not called up.
Okay.
Any suspension of action related to the motion to reconsider terminates. A, at the end of the current meeting, regardless of the number of meetings in a session.
Okay.
B, at the end of the current session. C, at the end of the next regular session. D, at the end of a quarterly interval.
Okay, first of all, I don't think, because they have regular sessions, I don't think quarterly has anything to do with it. So I'm going to just, first thing says no on D. A was what again? About?
At the end of the current meeting, regardless of the number of meetings in a session.
That doesn't make any sense in general, because if you have multiple meetings in a session, then the stuff is still pending throughout the entire session. So I'm not saying A. B was?
At the end of the current session.
The end of the current session. C was at the end of the next one?
Yes, at the end of the next regular session, which would be within a month.
The safe answer is B. But I'm gonna outfox myself and say C.
It is C.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
It does matter that they have regular monthly sessions and the whole quarterly thing comes into play. If they didn't have regular monthly sessions, I think it would be D. At the end of the quarter.
That's why I said D didn't make any sense, because they have the regular ones.
Right.
That's what you're saying, with reversing the direction, but same conclusion.
But it is C.
What's our citation?
Oh, I thought it was given section 37.
Okay.
This beer is really getting to me, man.
Was it 321? Okay. Whoops, it's too far. Whoops, come here, you.
And I know motions
It'll be under section 35, rescind, I'm guessing. No,
37.
37, reconsider. That should be right. Duh. I can't read my own tabs.
And I know reconsider does confuse people with being able to make it and not call it up.
Well, people keep getting meetings within a session straight. It can be hard enough, to be honest.
So,
I mean, we got, I mean, working with all this stuff has helped to get it straight in my head, which makes a big difference. But there's still a lot of other people that don't understand how that ties together. 321, 9 to 28, that is under further rules and explanations.
Okay, let me find that.
Right after the standard characteristics. So
yeah.
It is that very first... Oh, wait a minute.
It got rewritten?
This has been rewritten.
All right, then you're going to need to read it.
Okay.
And I'll try to find it in here.
Okay. This is in the 11th, because we're citing off the 11th, folks, just to remember the 12th is a little bit different. Okay. Suspending effect of making a motion to reconsider. That's the title of the section.
Oh, okay. It's 3711 in the new version.
Okay. The effect of making a motion to reconsider is the suspension of all action that depends on the result of the vote proposed to be reconsidered, either A, until the motion to reconsider has been voted on, and if the motion is adopted, until the reconsideration is completed, or B, if the motion to reconsider is not taken up until the suspension terminates as followed. Okay, here now we're getting into the meat of it. If no more than a quarterly time interval will elapse until the next regular session, and we said this was monthly, but more than a quarter, but if more, excuse me, I jumped there. If no more than a quarterly time interval will elapse until the next regular session, the suspension terminates with the adjournment of the next regular session. But if more than a quarterly time interval will intervene before the next regular session, the suspension terminates with the end of the same session in which the motion is made. Okay, so let's look back at the options again. Now, I already said that, okay, so the end of the quarterly would apply that first part of that. If there's more than a quarterly time interval, it would terminate.
Right.
The second part of this is that if more than a quarterly time interval, the suspension at the end of the same session, which is what B would have been.
Right.
I said C because B to me made sense, but C sounded like the right answer just because of some sort of counterintuitive thinking in my head.
So say, for instance, at our national convention, a motion to reconsider was made. The next meeting of the national convention isn't for 2 years. It would die at the end of that convention.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you have just a board who meets every month, the motion to reconsider, if it's not on one session, it'll go to the next meeting.
As long as it's within the quarter, right?
Right, yeah. So to be fair, folks, I thought I was guessing the wrong answer, and I actually guessed the right answer.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
So.
Oh, no, the next day is a Sunday. So it's me again to tell to you.
Oh.
Because we're skipping the Sunday. The Richard thing kind of covers for that, and we don't really have any other special events planned, though we do need to look at that JJ article on shifting. What was it called? Shifting
rule or something?
Yeah, rule shift. The rule shift.
It's in my inbox. I haven't read it yet. I know you got it too, because you had it both of us.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Uh-oh.
General orders are taken up, A,
that could hurt.
at the discretion of the chair, after reports of special committees.
Keep going.
A C, after unfinished business.
Keep going.
D, after new business.
General orders.
I only know this because I've been fucking around. Colorado's been doing our order. Yeah, and otherwise I would have been like derp, derp, derp.
Okay, wait a minute. The four choices are
A, at the discretion of the chair.
Yeah.
B,
it's not that one.
After reports of special committees.
Okay.
C, after unfinished business. D, after new business.
I don't think it's after new business or unfinished business, but I thought that general orders applied to everything attached to the agenda in the first place, which is why I had this puzzled look on my face.
I know there's still some confusion. I think with you, as to general orders and special orders because we don't really use those in the LP.
Well, okay.
And the only reason I know them is because of this kind of bullshit.
Okay, so we'll come back to that in a minute, but give me Troy, give me option B again.
After reports of special committees.
I'm going with that one.
Okay. It's C, after unfinished business.
Okay. Now, here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference? Maybe this is where I have trouble with this.
It's confusing.
There's a difference between general orders and when someone calls orders of the day.
Okay, orders of the day is whatever's on the... Orders of the day has two meanings, kind of like adjournment has multiple meanings.
Okay.
You know, adjournment can mean conclusion or it can mean starting again at a different day.
Right. Or where are we, as I thought.
Yeah. Orders of the day can mean that you're supposed to be taking up a particular special order or general order at this time.
Right.
But it also could just mean, let's get our ass back onto the schedule and the agenda. It means both.
Right. Okay, so how does the... Okay, so then a general order then...
I need a tissue. Excuse me.
Here's untied. You're allergic to the beer.
A general order... A general order is something that's been scheduled for that particular meeting, but not made a special order. And a special order is something that is for a particular time or place on the agenda. It gets
So the agenda itself is not a set of general orders.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's super, to me, I don't like these distinctions. I think they're just super, super confusing and not helpful. But
you're going to understand where I get confused.
The agenda item that is in the standard order of business is unfinished business and general orders. And that's after the reports of special committees.
Which was what I said, but that's not the...
Right.
It's not the right... What I said was correct, but not
the most correct.
Right. Thank you.
Right.
That's what I was trying. It wasn't... What I said was correct, but it wasn't in the right place because of the other pieces. 186, 17 to 20. Okay.
Which is section 14.
Yeah.
Which isn't the section I was going to, because it's dealt with, I guess, in multiple places.
186, 17 to 20. Okay, that is actually under postpone to a certain time.
What?
Postpone definitely? What?
That makes no sense.
17 to 20. Hold on.
That makes no sense.
Okay, well, here's the quote. I'll just read it off.
Okay.
General orders are taken up after unfinished business is disposed of, but are grouped with it under the heading of unfinished business and general orders.
Why didn't they go, though, to the standard order of business?
The effective order of the day, particular hour, depends on what, whatever.
So I want to look up the order of business, because that's where I would have gone to. I think it's 41... It's in chapter 41.
Order of business.
It's the standard order of business.
Right. That's about 351 for those in the 11th, just for reference.
At least I think that's where it's at. Isn't that where it's at? No?
That's the order of business is section 41.
Okay, yeah, all right.
You're fine. Orders of business, order of the day, agenda, and program refer to a closely related concept having to do with the order in which business is taken up in a session. Okay, order of business.
Here is 41.5. Basic
usual order of business. Yeah, that's 353. Yeah, okay.
So it goes reading and approval of minutes, reports of officers, boards, and standing committees, reports of special committees, special orders, unfinished business and general orders, and then new business.
Okay, yeah, that's what they should have cited.
Right.
But the other one was the other citation was correct,
but it was just weird.
This is better. Yes.
Yeah, it's just in a random thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, this gets really confusing. And the thing is, to me, this is only useful for the test because most organizations have a special rule of order of their own standing order of business.
And not only that, but okay. Here's the other question then. Okay, we know what unfinished and new business are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know what the reports of the special committees are, the standing committees, improvement. That's all clear. You have special orders versus general orders. Now, I think you said special orders are what again? Special orders are...
Let's look at what it says here. Let's just... Because
I just want to lay it out what's clear of what's what here. Just partially for my own edification, partially for the audience, so they can, just to be make sense out of this? Because I get this mixed up a lot.
A special order is something that must be taken up at that meeting. Like it's given priority for that meeting. A general order can go from one meeting to another. And a special order generally also has a specific time associated with it, though it doesn't have to.
So, for example, a deadline to appoint committee members because of something.
Right. That can be made a special order for that meeting. And sometimes, for instance, when we had Tara last meeting give a presentation at 7:30, that was a special order.
Okay.
Because she was set for that time, and no matter what else was going on, we stopped
and did that.
Okay. That's a special order.
So a general order then can carry over and mean what the hell's going on.
Yes. It's just not as special as a special order.
Okay. No, that's cool. I'm just trying to, I have trouble keeping them straight sometimes too, but that helps. That helps.
And I still have problems with it, and I have to go.
Richard Brown just weighed in. General orders are combined with unfinished business, but at the end.
Right. Yeah. At the end of unfinished business.
Right. So which makes sense.
So it says here, the heading of unfinished business and general orders includes item of business in the 4 categories below, and the order in which they're taken up.
Where are you?
Of the first 3, these are unfinished business, while the 4th is general orders.
Where are you?
I'm in order of business, just a few pages past the usual order, under the title unfinished business and general orders.
Damn, I'm looking. Oh, okay, number 5.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it has 4 categories.
Yeah, okay.
And only the 4th one...
358 and 11. Okay, got it.
Yeah, only the 4th one are general orders, which are matters that were postponed to or otherwise made general orders for the present meeting, taken in the order in which they were made. So they were postponed to that meeting without being made a special order.
Got it. So at a previous meeting, if someone said, let's lay this on the table to take it up at the next meeting without saying we'll take it up at say 7:30 or whatever,
right?
Then would be a general order. But if they said, oh, we're going to lay on the table and pick it up at the next meeting at 6 o'clock.
Well, you don't lay on the table, you postpone.
Postpone.
Right.
Okay, postpone to a specific time to execute my firing squad. Then that would be a special order.
That'd be a special order.
Got it.
And notice here it says that things that were a general order but were not reached at a particular meeting become unfinished business for the next meeting unless they were made a general order again.
Within the same quarter, wouldn't they do when they die if the quarter flips? Or am I thinking too much into this?
No, because they weren't reached yet.
Okay.
Things only die if they were. Now I don't know if they were postponed because you can't put anything out of the reach of a quarter.
It almost seems like a postponement, though, if it carries over, isn't it?
Well, carries over is unfinished business. You don't reach it.
Right.
It's not even an official postponement.
But it acts in that nature.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But something that's good to be brought up here is a note, because this comes up, and a lot of people
footnote,
the footnote. It's almost like friendly amendment, like doesn't exist. The expression "old business" should be avoided, since it may correctly suggest further consideration of matters that have already been disposed of.
Which is also why you don't want to say prior business, also.
Right. That's why it's unfinished business.
Right. Because the previous stuff was finished.
Right.
Or it was unfinished, and unfinished carries
right.
Unfinished, you're done.
And then if it's already been disposed of, then you got to rescind, motion reconsider, or any of the other bring back motions.
Right, which is a totally different department, yes.
Correct.
Old implies that you can do that, or that it wasn't finished, which doesn't necessarily work.
Right.
Yeah.
But I find the whole general order and special order thing almost completely useless. Except for special orders that are for a specific time, I find that useful. All this other bullshit, I think, is kind of a holdover from a more archaic age that most organizations don't deal with. Mm-hmm. The fact that we still get confused, it's just it's ridiculous.
I don't think I've ever seen a party agenda which has general orders in it. I've seen new and unfinished business all the time.
Well, it's a heading that we've always put, even in the old LPCO, but no one ever knew what it meant.
Oh, I know that when I was, I know in California we didn't have that. We just had unfinished. Excuse me. When I was shortly chairing El Paso County, it was unfinished without general orders.
But now it just occurred to me when I was creating the agenda for next one, where we had ones that we postponed to the next meeting
My HOA doesn't even use general orders.
I need to make sure.
I wrote those.
I don't think we actually had any unfinished business. We actually officially postponed it all, so it made it all general orders. Rather than just being an item we didn't reach. If it was an item we didn't reach, it would come before the items we actually postponed.
Okay.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is you now? Yes,
yes.
it's you now. But I find it all confusing and useless. I learn it for the test.
Okay,
but...
in that case, we must give it the proper.
Useless.
Yes.
Archaic holdover.
Okay, Richard Brown weighs in.
Right. Something postponed from the previous meeting is a general order.
Yeah. Richard, you have 2 I's in your name.
Yeah. No, it's an L.
I think it's a capital I.
Oh, it looks like a small L.
Could be either one.
Richard Brown.
Anyway, he says something postponed from the previous meeting is a general order.
Right.
Yeah.
But something in which it just wasn't reached on the agenda is unfinished business, which takes priority over a general order, and that doesn't make sense to me. Am I wrong on this, Richard?
There's a fine line there somewhere. What's the line?
Because it says here, any questions that were unfinished business at the previous meeting but were not reached before it adjourned, taken up in the order in which they were due to come up, has priority over things that were actually postponed. And Richard says you don't use special orders much in ordinary organizations. We actually use them quite a bit, don't we?
We do?
Well, we
I'm the wrong person to ask because I get them mixed up, so, you know.
Well, LNC uses them as the special order for a meeting quite frequently, where it's the topic for the meeting. It's made the special order. We don't call it that, but that's in effect what it is. So I actually think we use special orders way more than we ever use general orders. I don't think anyone on the LNC, if you asked any of them, because Alicia's not on there anymore, what a general order is, none of them would fucking know.
Richard says correct,
right.
But I'm not sure what he's saying correct
about the special order that we tend to use that.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But no one on the LNC besides myself has any fucking clue about what a general order is. Okay. And that should tell you something, because they're not stupid. It tells you it's useless. If a national governing body has no fucking clue what that's about, it's useless as far as
Richard says elections are an example of a special order used often. Well, okay, you could argue that they're using a special order for the appointment of the new
chair.
LNC chair.
Well, it is the special order for that meeting.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, that's all we're doing at that meeting.
I got an idea. Just put NOTA in.
I'm tempted, but I'm not saying how I'm going to vote because it'll be the kiss of death for whoever I'm voting for.
Well, in that case, say you're voting for the one you least want in the position.
Use reverse psychology, huh?
Yes.
But yeah, I'm not nominating anyone.
It's kind of like voting major party in a primary to get the worst possible candidate of theirs in instead of the one that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, anything postponed is a general order unless it's made a special order.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, no, I'm not nominating anyone for chair. I'm not speaking to anyone for chair, and I'm not telling anyone, because it's ranked choice, who and how I'm ranking, because with the way the LNC feels about me right now, which is barely tolerating me, it would be the kiss of death. I won't saddle any candidate with my endorsement.
Well, you could always not nominate me just to be silly.
Well, yeah, and then they'll hate you forever.
They do anyway. That's why I can't get on the bylaws committee.
But
they're afraid of me on the bylaws committee.
I will give it up.
Because I'll actually fix the damn things.
I'll give it up to the chair candidates, though. Every single one of them have reached out to me to ask for my vote. And everyone I've talked to has been grateful when I said I won't speak for you publicly. Because they know it's a kiss of death. It's a kiss of death right now. So, yeah, I'm going to be interviewing a couple more. Oh, and you had asked who was nominated. Whitney, Bill Yu.
Okay.
Joshua Smith.
They're both currently on the LNC.
Steve Dosbach.
Former executive director.
And former chair.
Okay.
He was chair when the prior Oregon situation blew up. Tony D'Orazio. Okay, I know him. And he ran last time.
Oh, that's right, he did. That's right.
I think he came in third.
Yeah, okay.
And Chuck Moulton,
who's been a past vice chair. He was vice chair back in 2008 and got basically screwed over by the Bar Root contingent in Denver.
And he almost beat Alicia for secretary one time, but
that
then
was a couple years later.
He proceeded to say something from what Nick told me, but now I don't trust anything Nick says. But Nick told me Chuck snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory by turning around and bad-mouthing her, and then everybody like got turned off by that.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about it either. I used to trust Nick's story on that, but now I don't trust anything.
Well, what I know in Denver with Chuck was that at one point, I think it was Redpath was chair at that point, had handed over the gavel to Chuck to run part of the convention.
Oh.
And this was, I'm trying to remember, that was 13 years ago. I want to say it was during the vice presidential section nominations. It was a little crazy at that point because there was a whole other pile of things going on behind the scenes. I may tell that story someday, but because I was there, but when I sat going down. But Chuck wound up chairing that part of the convention and actually did a really good job.
Oh no, Chuck is more than qualified.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to say anything nice about anybody because that'll be the kiss of death. But no, I think everyone knows
he's got the qual.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a certification on the parliamentarian stuff?
No, I don't think he does.
I thought he did.
But I can tell you where Chuck and I ended up on the outs is he was on the whole wrong side of the COVID convention thing. He was one of the COVID panickers who did not want a physical convention. And that disappointed me because up till then, I always felt Chuck sided with the bylaws even when he didn't like what they said. I found his weak point. Virus, he'll throw the bylaws out.
Well, to be honest, there's a lot of people who, pardon the expression, lost their shit over
They did. And that's the only fault I can give him. But that he did fail on.
I mean, I've been dealing with for the past 16, 17 months of people losing their shit over this virus. And a lot of it is because they just simply haven't processed it well.
But still,
however you want to define that, they just you know,
don't throw our bylaws out. And on that, and Chuck knows that that's a criticism that I have. Yeah. But you want to know what? Nobody's perfect, so everyone's going to fuck up at least one thing, and that's his fuck up.
It happens, and that's it's one thing when it's an error or a mistake. It's another when you do it on purpose and act like a jackass.
Yeah,
and there's far different. Those are totally different animals.
So those are the candidates.
Trust
so
me,
far.
I know I've acted like a jackass plenty of times.
I think there will
just smile and nod your head. Okay.
Yes, all of us have, I think.
Yes. You've done it too. So
I've done it more than
we've done it to each other.
Yes, we have.
Colorado Springs Massacre. Yes.
So, but I think more candidates are going to come up because I've gotten phone calls by a few other people who are just feeling it out, kind of, and I hope they declare. But I'm not nominating them. I'm not nominating shit. I'll nominate Harambe.
Let's nominate Alex.
I would not do that to Alex. This is the Viper Pit.
I know, but let's be real. He did one hell of a job at Orlando.
Yes.
Being thrown into the deep end of the pool without a life preserver.
But he's not good in interpersonal LNC conflicts. He tends to do the split the baby thing, and I don't think that's just. Mm-hmm. You need somebody who will side on the side of right, not on the side of making peace at all costs. Yeah. And Alex is a make peace at all costs guy, and I don't agree with that.
Anyway. Let's go on.
But he did fantastic at that convention.
Oh, he did. He did amazing. And granted, he had Richard up there, he had you up there, and I was hanging around too to help him get through that. But at the same time, he was in a very tough spot.
Yeah, it was.
And especially that first day, but he got through it.
Yeah, he got through it. His hair was worse for wear.
Yeah.
All right.
But all credit to him for what he did there. It was hard. Anyway, let's go to the 9th.
The 9th.
Of July.
And I already finished my beer.
Actually, you want to pause for half a second and replenish?
Well, let's do this one.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll...
I'm just saying just to replenish the beverages.
Well, and I probably need to use the bathroom. So we'll probably stop and then restart the stream.
Okay, fair enough.
Because, yeah.
Or give a blank screen of whatever.
Yeah, people get really... And Facebook doesn't like that, so it's better to start and restop.
Okay. The 9th. We're back to commit.
Okay.
Are you committed?
I should be.
I didn't say it, folks. She did. Okay. Commit cannot be applied to A. Debatable appeals. B. Orders of the day or question of privilege while they are actually pending as main motions. What? C. Undebatable appeals. D, non-adhering debatable appeals separately. What? This doesn't make any sense.
I have no fucking idea. I didn't. Ooh, I'm going to guess B.
And now the answer is actually C.
Yeah, I guessed.
Undebatable appeals.
Yeah, that would have been my second guess.
I don't even know. Okay, non-adhering debatable appeal. What the hell are they even saying here? Non-adhering debatable appeals separately. Pardon my hiccups, but what in the world?
Appeals that don't adhere to a main question by themselves without referring the main question itself.
Like
I think
is like an appeal from the ruling of the chair, even though it's not attached to a main question or something? Or?
Yes. But let's go see what it says, because I didn't know you could commit an appeal to begin with. To be honest with you, I did not know that. Did you?
I know. Okay, so the reference is section 13.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
Which is 169, excuse me. 169 into 170. This is under commit and refer. Under the standard characteristic number 2.
Okay.
Okay, commit can be applied to main motions with any amendments that may be pending and thus apply to orders of the day or a question of... How do you commit an orders of the day to something?
I'm confused. How do you do that?
I want to commit the orders of the day to a committee of the whole, to a committee of the nobody. What?
I don't understand that. Or questions of privilege? How can you commit?
Question of privilege. Mr. Chair, can we turn on the air conditioning? Let's have a committee do that.
Yeah.
What? It doesn't make any sense.
But it says when they're main motions. So a question of privilege that's a main motion might be... Isn't that like a request to be excused from a duty? Wouldn't that...
Maybe. But how would an orders of the day be a main motion?
Well, it's always, isn't it, usually? No.
I thought that was almost like that was in the vein of a point of information or a point of order. But...
I don't know, but apparently it can be.
Yeah, so that something doesn't... Richard, help us out here. How can an orders of the day be a main motion?
Well, when you're between items, I guess, and people are talking about going on to something that is unrelated, I suppose then that would be a main motion for orders of the day. But how can you commit that?
How can that be a motion, though? I thought it was just a point of order.
Points of order are motions, remember?
They are?
Yeah, we brought that. We did that in another... thing. A point of order is a motion. I got a question wrong because of that.
Okay. I don't remember that one. But
if JJ was here for that one, who said a point of order was a motion.
That always seemed weird to me. Anyway, back to this.
I think it's moved to raise a point of order.
Okay, I can buy that. Now just say it that way. Yeah, I can buy it. Most people just don't say it that way.
Right, but I got a question wrong because of that. But
I have to remember to use that line at a convention just to,
but I don't see how you could commit those.
Yeah. How can you commit a motion to orders of the day?
Maybe I think some of these things we end up getting wrong because we just never seen it. And
That's
it's probably really common in other... You want to know what I really want to go to, but I don't have the money to. I don't think. Unless, like, you never know. I didn't think I had the money to go to PorcFest, and all of a sudden, that happened. I want to go to the NAP convention. Wouldn't that be fun?
Make sure you bring your pocket protector.
Yeah, yes. But
and tape your glasses right
Wouldn't that be fun, though? I just love to sit in business and just watch.
I think you better bring a mop because people's heads will be exploding. But anyway.
If I can all swing that, I want to go to that. I don't want to be a delegate. I'm a member of the various groups. That's not it. I just want to go watch.
At the risk of insulting Richard, and I don't mean it that way, it almost sounds like it would be a convention of parliamentary nerds that would make a Comic-Con look tame.
And Richard or JJ, do you know...
I'm not trying to insult you guys, but it just sounds like
No, it sounds wonderful. Remember, here's my question.
I'm a nerd too, so,
I don't know how it works with NAP. Is there free general admission to just the public, like there is at LP? Or is there a floor fee no matter what? Because if all it is going there and having a hotel and there's no... If you can just attend as an observer for nothing, I could probably swing that. I would love to just watch that convention. popcorn.
Does that even is it live cast?
No, it's different being there. You know that the whole. I want to go.
You want to You want to breathe in the parliamentary porn.
Yes, I do. I want to go so bad. Again, no delegate thing. They were doing that for our local chapter. I was like, no interest in that. Nowhere near qualified for that, but I'd love to go. I'm going to look into that. That would be fun. Okay.
Back to this.
Yeah, when they're pending his main motion, so continue.
And such an application is independent of and does not affect any other matter that they may have interrupted, semicolon, can be applied to debatable appeals or points of order referred to by the chair in the judgment of the assembly that are debatable when so referred. But if such an appeal adheres to the main motion, that is, oh God, we're going down a rabbit hole. This is, okay, I got to interrupt for this. This is where bullet points within an item help to format, guys.
Yeah. And it's not in the new thing. This is the same way.
But this is a butt ugly laundry list. It's hard to read because it just rambles. Anyway, but if such an appeal adheres to the main question, that is, if the appeal must be decided before the main question is decided, the motion to commit can be applied to the appeal only in connection with the main question, which goes to, what the hell was the right answer to this? C, undebatable appeal. Okay, just doing a lose track of what the hell we're talking about here. Okay.
It gets to that where it says it cannot be applied to an undebatable appeal.
Where?
It's after that long run-on sentence. It's the next sentence.
It cannot be applied to undebatable. Why did I just say that in the first place?
Yeah, I think this is just unfamiliarity. I couldn't
There's
even...
a second citation here, 256. I'll go look at that real fast.
What section?
Working, I'm not sure. Section 24, appeal.
Okay. And Richard was able to change the spelling of his name, so it's not Richard. Richard. Yeah, I need to see this in action before I'll ever get it through my noggin.
I can understand why you say that, because this is, I don't think I've ever seen this either. Okay, 256, 22 to 26 is appeal standard descriptive characteristic number, part of number 1, excuse me. Let's see. Appeal takes precedence over any question pending, yields to all privileged motions, provided they're in order.
And yields to
incidentals. If it is debatable, it also yields subsidiary motion to limit or extend debate. And for previous question, yields to commit, postpone definitely, and lay on the table, provided that they are in order of time according to order precedence. If it is undebatable and adheres to a pending question, it does not yield to any subsidiary motion to lay on the table. And if it is undebatable and does not adhere to a pending question, it yields to no subsidiary motion.
Okay, that's a tough one.
That's in the weeds.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
I don't feel bad for getting that wrong because it's totally outside my experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so we said we were going to take a break.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and we're going to refresh our drinks, use the bathroom. I don't know if we're going to get through everything we want to get through, because when do we need to? I need to leave, or if you guys are coming to Wheat Ridge.
The protest is at 4. Mm-hmm. It's 1:15 now. You need about an hour to get there.
So by 3 we need to be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're taking
3. I mean, we are at the door.
Yeah.
So probably closer to 2:30.
All right. We're going to take about a 10-minute break or so, and we will be back. But we're finishing this, and we'll just start the broadcast over.
So